All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of A Seat at the Table. And my name is Mike Flores. I'm fortunate to serve as a chancellor for the Alamo College's district. And as many of you know, these live streamed episodes feature special guests and cover a variety of topics that are aligned with who we are at the Alamo College's district, our mission, vision, and values, as well as who we serve within our community and the opportunity that we provide. We are, of course, excited to continue our partnership with Texas Public Radio. And as you know, after each episode, we encourage you to stay tuned for a special segment with education reporter Camille Phillips to further kind of tease out the topic of a seat at the table. And you have a role as well. So we encourage you, viewers, to engage with us on social media by leaving your questions or feedback in the comments, and then my colleagues will be able to prompt those as we go to a Q&A session, and you can see that teleprompter at the bottom. So I want to kind of provide a context for this afternoon or for today's A Seat at the Table. And especially we want to look at with the ongoing impact of the pandemic and its effects on the livelihoods of individuals within our community. There's been a lot of discussion here locally as well as nationally about workforce and in particular about talent. And at Alamo Colleges, we do pride ourselves in being the largest provider of workforce development and training and education in South Texas. And so today that will be our topic. What are we doing at Alamo College's district to prepare our students for high wage, high demand jobs? And how are we engaging and working with community and business partners to be able to build more opportunities for our neighbors, our friends, and family? And for us at Alamo, we have made it a priority to establish and to continue to enhance employer-driven pathways that align with opportunities within specific careers. This means we're working in conjunction not only with school districts and university partners, but also with the needs of local employers and local industry groups. So I have a couple of, we have a special guest, and we also have an important co-conspirator here, but Dr. Sprague, welcome. I'd like to extend a welcome to our board chair, Dr. Jean Sprague. And of course, for those of you at the seat of the table, you know that often it's a team approach with myself and our board chair, Dr. Sprague. Welcome, Dr. Sprague.
Hey, it's great to be here. Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm looking forward to the discussion.
All right, and then Dr. Sprague and I are joined with a special guest, and that's Doug McMurry, who serves as the Executive Vice President of the San Antonio chapter of Associated General Contractors, and he's been with the group since 1994. Prior to that, he worked in state and local government and had also roles with construction trade associations. And I'd be remiss, Doug, if I didn't say that you were a member of the advisory group for SA Ready to Work, a critical champion in workforce development. And that's a $200 million initiative to spur talent creation and credential talent within our community. I saw you, but didn't have a chance to connect with you last week at the B session last Wednesday. So thank you for your continued efforts and work to champion talent creation in San Antonio.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so we're going to begin with some questions. And Dr. Sprague, I wanted to ask you in particular, you've been on the board for 28 years, and I think in many senses this has been a journey in particular, not only for the organization, but also for workforce development. Why do you think workforce development is critical, not to you, but also to the board and to who we are?
Right. It has become increasingly important to the board, especially to myself. But it all began, we've always had a pivotal place in training the workers of San Antonio. We're vital to skilled labor force and preparing those skilled labor people. But it became apparent that we really needed to tailor our efforts and our funding in that area toward the to real needs of our business and industry components. And so about 3 years ago, I formed a permanent committee on the board called the Workforce Committee. Through that committee, we meet once a month with all the people, all the agencies involved in the workforce in Bexar County, along with our SATX, or what used to be the Economic Development Foundation, is at our table. And that has put us in touch with the business needs of our community. We also have direct contact with a lot of our industry leaders. And so it's been vital to see this move forward and actually do a better job of tailoring our educational efforts to the needs of the workforce in Bexar County.
Thank you, Dr. Sprague. And a little bit about that committee. So you mentioned it meets monthly, and I just wanted to mention to the audience, you've brought together key players in workforce development. So Alamo, or Workforce Solutions Alamo, of course, Alamo Colleges District, Greater SATX, you mentioned Project Quest. So all of the local training providers come together once a month. Dr. Sprague convenes them, and we're able to get a sense of how we can partner together to be able to create talent. Dr. Sprague, what do you think is the dividend or the payoff for our students or for the community?
Well, the payoff is that, coupled with our recent efforts to attach badges or document skill levels in various areas, it provides them a real opportunity to go to our employers throughout Bexar County and elsewhere, of saying, here's the credentials I have, here's the credentials that you need, and I have, I'm proficient in all those skills. So, with that kind of a resume, it's not a vague resume saying I have an associate's degree or I have a certificate in one form or another. I actually have these documented skills that I'm ready to go in the workplace. So
that's perfect. So as noted, Dr. Sprague, it is looking at the specific credentials and making sure that they align with the needs of specific sectors in the economy. And Doug, that's actually a perfect pivot and segue, because I wanted to ask you, extending off of what Dr. Sprague mentioned, what are some of the things that the construction industry and local contractors are looking for in the area, and what are opportunities that you think we should be mindful of within the Alamo colleges?
Well, thank you again for having me, and congratulations on the formation of that committee. It sounds like a great forum for an all-star cast of people involved in workforce development. So as you noted, Doctor, I'm with the Associated General Contractors. It's a nonprofit trade association. And my members are looking for students who have degrees or certificates in things like construction technology or construction business management, or really any of the trades that it takes to build a building, like a plumber, a carpenter, or an electrician. That's exactly what the industry is looking for. And that's the kind of thing that excites me about the workforce development program that the city has undertaken.
And looking at those specific skill sets, so we know it is everything that goes into either commercial or residential buildings in particular. And we know that there are programs at any of the Alamo colleges in which our students would have the credential and the skill sets that Dr. Sprague mentioned earlier. What do you think that would be helpful as we scale up, Doug, in the role that you're playing, not only within your sector, but also in Ready to Work? What should we be mindful of, our faculty, our students, as we launch that plane on the runway?
Well, I would encourage you to keep on doing what you've been doing, and in particular, focus on pairing the needs with the employers. And when you align the community partners and academic institutions with the targeted industries, that's a winning formula. So construction is just one of the targeted industries. There are other important ones: education, manufacturing, information technology, and healthcare. All of those industries are targeted in the Ready to Work program. And to the extent that you can further align and collaborate, I think that would be helpful for the entire community.
Well, thank you. And then what should, Doug, what should students look for when they are not only they're looking for one, training, and then two, once they've got that, they are looking to engage with employers. What do you think our students should be mindful of?
Well, always look for the most reputable training providers that you can. When you're seeking a certificate or a degree program, go to those that are genuine and have a good track record. Alamo Colleges is a perfect example. There are others, when we think about, you have mentioned Project Quest and Restore Education. Those are two outstanding organizations that will also be an important part of the Ready to Work program. So students can look to those groups, I think, and have confidence that when they come out of that program, they're going to be highly skilled, highly trained, and ready for higher paying jobs. Remember that the city is also going to put together a master course catalog that will include all of the training and all of the opportunities. So I would encourage students to look carefully at that catalog and also talk to people that are in that particular field and ask them about their experiences. I think that would be a very valuable thing to do. And then, as it specifically relates to construction, I can be a resource. There's also a website called Texas Construction Careers that I think would also be valuable to those that are focused on that one particular targeted industry.
Is speaking of careers, we know that talent has been somewhat, credentialed talent been somewhat of a problem or challenge for us within the community. Is that more pronounced in construction in particular during COVID, or what are some of the things that you're seeing?
Well, it's a growing city. It's exciting to be in the 7th largest city that continues to grow. And as we grow, we need schools and hospitals and churches and academic buildings. And it takes a team to build these buildings. So we see a growing city with lots of opportunities. There is a significant shortage of qualified trainees, workers in our industry. They can go in at a certain level and climb the ranks. And one day, if they want to own their own construction company, well, that's great. Many people who own construction companies in San Antonio started out not as an owner, but perhaps as a foreman or a superintendent or a project manager. So it's a growing city. The construction industry needs people to help us build. And we look forward to the results of the good work that you're doing and the success of the Ready to Work program.
Thank you, Doug. Dr. Sprague, I'm sure this sounds like music to your ears. I know that
Right.
this has definitely been a path that you've led and championed. And so what are your thoughts about what you're hearing in the conversation?
Well, no, it's always exciting to hear that industries such as the building trades are excited about what we're doing and recognize that we are tailoring our efforts to their needs. That's probably the most important aspect that drove the development of the workforce committee. Basically, that committee was formed from requests from several key business leaders saying, how are you serving us, or can you serve us in a more targeted way? And so I think that's exactly what we're moving to. Well, you never perfect things like this, but I'm encouraged to see people on the other side excited about what we're doing. So that's great. I really want to recognize Gloria Ray, who is heading up the workforce committee right now, is doing a tremendous job in reaching out particularly to new industry partners in various parts of Bexar County, particularly the east side. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sprague. And in fact, Doug, we had what we call an Alamo Together Summit this past Friday, and it's an internal gathering of faculty, staff, and in particular focused on workforce development. Ms. Ray, along with Dr. Sprague, were able to launch that engagement and looked at what are some of the offerings. In this case, we highlighted those at offerings throughout Alamo, but in particular at Northwest Vista College.
Well, if I may, let me say,
Yes.
I chaired your Citizens Bond Oversight Committee in 2006,
Yes.
and Gloria Ray was an active member of that group. So I'm glad to hear she's keeping up the good work.
Yes, she definitely has, and so she works in tandem with Dr. Sprague and all of the trustees to be able to do that. And we're fortunate she's Dr. Sprague tapped her to be the subcommittee chair for workforce development. Doug, one of the questions is if what would you recommend for a business that's interested in getting involved? I know from the Alamo side what we are looking for, but what about for Ready to Work? What would you encourage them to do?
Well, right off the bat, employers ought to sign the employer pledge. It's a non-binding pledge, and it's an agreement with the city to exchange information. As an employer, you want the city to know, and the training providers, you want them to know exactly what your needs are, and vice versa. So right away, go ahead and take the pledge. I think over 70 employers have done so, and that's an indication that we're going to have better alignment and collaboration between the employers and the training providers.
All right, well, wonderful. And we also want to encourage any employers that are watching, since this is aimed externally, if you're interested in partnering with Alamo colleges, if you'd like to hire or perhaps try a student as part of an internship or apprenticeship, you can go to alamo.edu and then /partnerships. And there's a kind of a menu of things that perhaps individuals, firms, or organizations can tick off in looking at partnering with us. We have a couple of other questions. And so one of those is, how long does it take to get training? Of course, we know that is specific, dependent upon the specific program and the specific economic sector. One of the things that we found, and Doug, and Dr. Sprague mentioned micro-credentials, is that we see many adults are perhaps looking for something that is a shorter runway than a certificate. Perhaps they're looking for a certification or looking for something that demonstrates their skills. And so micro-credentials in particular are something that Alamo Colleges has invested in quite a bit. So are you seeing other things we should be mindful of, Doug? Perhaps credentials or skill sets that students or perhaps providers like Alamo should keep in mind?
Well, no, I think you're completely on the right path. I think back to the catalog of courses that the city is going to put together as part of the Ready to Work program. And in that catalog, there will be a description of the length of time for the training. But I think that's going to be a very valuable resource going forward.
Well, excellent. One of the other parts, and since you've been involved in economic growth and development in San Antonio for a long time, and I want to thank you for your partnership with Alamo Colleges District as well, going back, I guess we could say several decades then, since you mentioned 2006 in the Citizens Oversight Group. What I think this is a good something good for us to look at, and I'm going to ask both yourself and Dr. Sprague. Why is workforce development important to us?
Doctor, you want to take that one first?
Okay. Well, it's critical too. I really feel like we're the primary economic generator in San Antonio by virtue of our role in workforce training. And so, we're a growing city, as was mentioned. We're supplying the needs out there. There's a tremendous need yet to be filled. I think we're looking at maybe in the neighborhood of 25,000 skilled worker jobs right now that can't be filled in the Bexar County area. So we have a tall task to do, but I think we're doing it in a much more efficient way now than we ever have. And that can only happen with the cooperation and interest of business and industry in Bexar County. So the future is bright. We're always on an upward trend here in San Antonio, and I don't see any. I see a very bright future.
Thank you, Dr. Sprague. Doug, what are your thoughts?
Well, Doug, I would just add, I want my city to be known not for the length of the lines at the food bank, but rather the number of high-paying, high-skilled jobs that we've created. So, like Dr. Sprague, I'm optimistic. I think the trend is in the right direction, and I think we can look forward to more good things ahead.
Well, excellent. I want to thank you, Doug, for being with us. Definitely, and with your work in economic development here in the city of San Antonio with AGC, and definitely also with Ready to Work and your service not only to the community. Thank you for your partnership with the Alamo Colleges District. And I want to thank Dr. Sprague for being here at a seat at the table. And we know this is a long day because we also have a board meeting tonight. And so thank you, Chairman Sprague, for being with us today.
Great to be here. Love the discussion.
All right. And so thank you and the audience for being here. Thank you for your questions and for being with us. And I want to encourage you to stay tuned for Take Two with TPR with Camille Phillips. Have a wonderful day.
Welcome to Take Two with TPR in partnership with the Alamo Colleges District. I'm Camille Phillips, the education reporter at Texas Public Radio. We are here today to talk about workforce development, and during a seat at the table, Dr. Flores and his guests spoke in depth about that generally. And during Take Two with TPR, we're doing something a little different today. We're talking specifically about one workforce development program at the Alamo Colleges, the Fire Academy at San Antonio College. So I'm here today with the mayor of Windcrest, Dan Reese. He is the former fire chief at Windcrest, correct? And also a current instructor at the Fire Academy, former coordinator in charge of the academy. Is that
that's all correct, yes.
Great. Okay, and we're also here with Amber Wasacek. She is a fighter with Live Oak, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Live Oak, and you were also a graduate of the San Antonio College Fire Academy, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you also went on to Palo Alto College, their EMS program?
Yes.
Okay, so we got two kind of perspectives here. I want to kind of hear from both of you all about that. Dan, if we start with you, can you just talk about, since we're talking about workforce development, this is a 16-week program, is that right?
Oh, is that for me?
Yes, sorry. The fire.
Okay, yeah. So basically, it is a semester-long program. It is designed to give the student a certification in fire. So basically, what they're going to be out there from 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they will get the skills and the training that would go towards a certification for fire. Yes.
Okay. And so. As a fire chief, can you talk about how do you look for people who have been graduates of this academy? Do they are they ready and to meet the workforce needs of the fire departments in the area?
Yes, and in fact, one of the things about fire, and I mentioned certification. Clearly, they're going to the Fire Academy to get a certification, and it's important to know there are other places that they can get that certification. They can go to an online academy that would involve doing everything online, and then going normally for like a 2-week boot camp. That's great. It does get you the what I would call the minimum certification, so they get the training as well as the hard skills, the climbing a ladder and doing the kind of things you do as a firefighter. The difference that Alamo College brings and a fire academy is more of an experience of just the whole person, if you will. A lot of times we talk about soft skills, and in fact, Alamo College is big on on those soft skills. And so I can train you to go do the very basics of fire, but there are some things like, interesting enough, just being on time. And so at the fire academy and in the fire service, if we say we're starting at 8 o'clock, that doesn't mean we're gathering at 8. It means we're going to start at 8. And so there's what you see with our students is a progression from a person who in many cases is relatively timid and maybe not sure about what they're going to do or whether or not they're going to be able to do that. And a progression, their whole attitude changes at the end, because by the end of the fire academy, you're going from a person who may have seen fire from the outside, but have not been inside a building that was on fire. And so what we see and what I've seen over the years is a progression of not only the fire skills, but just confidence. And not everyone who goes to the fire academy is going to get a fire job, but I guarantee you that everyone coming out of that fire academy knows basic skills: on time, confidence, leadership, working with others. And so that correlates to many other industries, many other jobs.
And as a fire instructor and past coordinator of the program at SAC, were you in communication with fire departments in the area, learning, like, make sure that you are preparing them for the skills they need on the job? That's a big part of workforce development, right? Is making sure you're coordinating with the employer.
Right, sure. So we coordinated with several of there's a couple of Alamo area fire chiefs type of organizations. So we would go to those meetings. We would make sure that we were meeting the needs. Maybe even more importantly, the firefighters who are with San Antonio College, including Amber, work someplace else. So Amber, as an instructor, will be able to tell that student, okay, if you want to come to work for Live Oak, this is what we expect. And I would tell the students, you are interviewing the whole time you're there. So I guarantee you that if a firefighter comes and they apply at Live Oak, someone's going to ask Amber, what was that person like? And Amber's going to give, a very honest answer. So yeah, so Amber will also tell, or their leadership will say, okay, this is what we're getting from a fire academy. One of the things you get out of a fire academy is not just the skills also, but just the repetition. I can teach you how to do something once, but I'm going to make you perfect it. So we make sure there's a seamless transition between the fire department and going to a department like Live Oak or any of the other fire departments in the area.
That makes sense. Amber, can you tell us from your perspective, as you were both a student and now you're an instructor,
Yes,
what was it
ma'am.
like for you when you were a student? Just kind of tell us your story a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. It was great. And exactly what Mayor Reese was saying is having the training for 5 months instead of the 2 weeks was just building my confidence and knowing be there on time, and just prepared me to join the fire service.
And now you're kind of come full circle. You're also an instructor. What's that like?
It's great. Just having that opportunity to help somebody reach that goal that I was able to reach. I'm definitely grateful for it. It's been awesome so far, and having the opportunity to possibly be someone's mentor and helping them through different challenges is definitely something that I really loved so far.
Sounds good. Something that Dr. Flores mentioned and earlier in the show was micro-credentials. It's something that the Alamo College system is really promoting, where you start with, like 1 semester course and you get certified in that, and then maybe you continue on and learn something else and build on your education. Amber, it sounds like you're kind of an example of that, because you've done several trainings and you're also a student at Texas State. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell you about, like, how did that pathway work out for you?
Yeah, it was honestly just kind of crazy. I didn't know Alamo colleges offered as much as they did. As soon as I had registered for the academy, and all the instructors like, don't forget, y'all got to go get y'all's EMT. And they pretty much told me about the EMS program. So from there, I talked to my counselor and, helping hand, and was able to register for my EMS program, and all that within a year, just 2 semesters. And then I got hired on.
Great. At Live Oak, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And but you're also going on to a 4-year degree. What made you decide to keep on studying higher education?
Yes, ma'am. So I realized pretty quick that in order to get in a leadership role, I needed education. So from there, I decided to get my associates at San Antonio College and got some certifications in the mix of all that, and decided to not stop and further my career and transfer to Texas State from there.
Good for you. Did it help to know that you had like the credential and you could have a steady job while you were finishing your education or continuing to pursue higher education?
Oh, definitely. It's been, don't get me wrong, it's been juggling and it's been crazy, but it's definitely helped knowing I have a career, and I'm in a career now, and I can support myself through going to school.
Good. Well, for both of you, what advice would you have for somebody who's maybe thinking about going to the fire academy or wants to become a firefighter? What would you recommend they do? Dan, you want to start and then have Amber?
Yeah, sure. You know, one of the things that Amber pointed out was there's a medical training part of firefighting, and so while I love the fire academy and while I love the fact that we have students, my recommendation would be to go get that medical training first. And I say that because, first of all, that can be a little more challenging. Amber would probably tell you that on the medical side can be a little more challenging as far as the academics. The other thing is, some people don't realize this, but the going to the fire academy gets you a fire certification, but you're not certified until you get the medical part. So one of the things that Amber probably faced is that, you know, you get through with the fire academy, you have to go get some medical training. If you do that first, and you can do that first through Alamo colleges, at the end of the fire academy, you're a certified. You can be a certified firefighter, so you can immediately go to a department. So there's some advantages, obviously there. So like I said, while if the medical part's not part of our little fire academy, I wish it was, and that's a whole different story. I would encourage people to get that medical training and then come to the fire academy. And clearly, as Amber has pointed out, one of the things you'll see over the last couple of years, and certainly progressing, is you got to find a way to set yourself apart. And you do things like that by getting higher education. Amber obviously got an associate's degree. Alamo Colleges offers those kind of opportunities. We even have some people who are taking some of the advanced courses while they're doing the fire academy, because a lot of that can be done online. But yeah, I would encourage them to get the medical training, come to the fire academy, so that when they're done with the fire academy, because we'll have fire departments come interview, and so if you already have that, when they come to talk to the class, you're ready to go. So
that makes sense. Anything else that you think that? Amber, I haven't asked you yet. What's your advice for someone who's thinking about joining the fire academy at San Antonio College?
Well, definitely everything that Mayor Reese said. I wish I would have heard that when I was in the academy, because that's all great pointers. But also that it's going to be tough and it's going to take long hours and studying, but time is only temporary, and the fire service is just incredible and one of the best decisions I've ever made. So it will definitely be worth it in the end.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think we covered most of it. Is there anything else you want to make sure that listeners know, either of you?
No, I mentioned it before, but Amber's one of those, a great example of the beauty of going to a fire academy. Again, where if you go get a certification training in other disciplines, you might get the experience of being with maybe one person who's been in the industry. If the fire academy, San Antonio Fire Academy, in my opinion, has the best instructors in the state of Texas. And so when you go to the fire academy at San Antonio College, you're going to meet people like Amber, who's in a mid-sized department. You're going to meet people who are from Houston. You're going to meet people from San Antonio. And so there's just that experience, that life experience of just talking to those people in my opinion, is invaluable, and that we're one of the only places you can make that happen. So.
Great. Well, thank you both very much for speaking with me. You have been listening to Take Two with TPR. Today we're talking about workforce development, specifically diving deep into San Antonio College's Fire Academy. I'm here with Dan Reese, the mayor of Windcrest, and Amber Wasacek, a firefighter at Live Oak. They both also are instructors at San Antonio College Fire Academy. This is Take Two with TPR in partnership with the Alamo Colleges District. I'm Camille Phillips.